Hey guys, hope you're all well. So, thank you for tuning in. The following conversation is with one of my clients, Emily. So, a bit of background on Emily. Emily had suffered with endo for years and she had had an operation. She was told she was going to need more operations, or more than likely need more operations in the future. And by the work that we've done together, she's managed to avoid that, and she's doing a hell of a lot better and really thriving. So I really wanted to share his story because it's so powerful and it gives people who suffer from endo, some hope that, you don't have to live a life with operations. And, along with the endo, she also suffered with IBS as well, which is common because there is this big link between bacterial overgrowth and endo. So, her to share a story, and actually, we did this. This was really impromptu, so and you know what, and it's better that way because nothing's, it's natural because we just caught up and we were talking about it. I was like, you know what, this will be a good time to record. So, yeah, I hope it helps. My hat's off to Em. She's an absolute warrior, and I think this is a really powerful conversation. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. And if there's something you're dealing with, or someone you know is dealing with it, please do reach out, and we'll have a conversation and see if there's anything I can do to help. So yeah, enjoy. Tell me a little bit about your history, so why you came to me in the first place.
Yeah, so I came to you because I was diagnosed with really bad endo. My gynecologist had suspicions about it for a couple of years, but then I ended up having surgery in, I think it was January 21, to have a look to just like guarantee that the endo was there. And when
Mhm.
he opened me up, he's like, yeah, it's definitely there. There's actually quite significant amounts. There's more than he expected to be there.
Yeah.
And we removed it and I was fine for about sort of 3, 4 months. And then the symptoms started coming back again. And by about 6 months, I was back to where I was originally with really painful periods. I had like daily painful, just like cramps and stuff without even having my period and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I went back to him sort of around that 6 month mark and said, oh, I'm already getting symptoms. And he's just like, oh, he didn't expect me to have symptoms back by then. He's like, oh, you've obviously got it quite badly then for you to already have symptoms. And his only solution was, well, we can either swap you off the pill and put in an IUD. He's like,
Yeah.
even then, I don't think that's going to really make much of a difference. And he said, I'll just probably end up having annual surgeries. And I was like, well, that's not really a solution for me because, I mean, the surgery, even though it's keyhole, like it takes a few weeks to recover from, and it's quite unpleasant to go through. And that's not something I kind of want to do every single year. So
Mm.
that's when I started looking into more holistic treatments. And that's when I came to you. And within probably like, I don't know, maybe like 2 months of doing the protocol with you, like I went off the pill, I think, before I even started the protocol. And I was really scared because I was like, oh no, like I'm going to go back to having extremely painful periods and not going, being able to cope and things like that. And I think I'd done the first 4 weeks with you. So we'd done a little bit of that gut healing. And I remember having my period. I was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then as we progressed through the protocol, like, yeah, my periods were really manageable and all the pain disappeared. And like now that what am I, like a year past the first protocol and I'm on the second, like all the pain's disappeared. Like I'm on my first day of my period and like I get like some cramps, but like it's manageable. I don't need painkillers. I don't get really bad pain when I'm not on my period. And it's been life changing, honestly, because it's hard to function when you're in like constant pain.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I was saying to you before, it doesn't happen overnight. And this is why I love working with people like you because, you got to a point where you needed to change because you'll be surprised. People will just live through that stuff and they won't want to make those changes. And even though you were going through that stuff, it still can be confronting to make those changes, right? So as I always say, I'm only ever as good as my clients, and you know you what you've done is so powerful, because it gives other, and this is why I want to share your story, because it gives other people in your, because endo is so common, right? you know
Yeah.
and it gives people hope that they can get through it, and they can get through it with minimal intervention. you know
Yeah.
does it take a bit of effort on your side?
Yeah, it takes,
Absolutely.
takes a lot of effort. But I mean, like I had a few people be like, Emily, you're crazy. What are you doing? This seems a bit hippy dippy and a bit weird. And I was like, well, it does, but like modern medicine isn't helping. So let's try something else. And like this has been the best thing I could have done. Like I wish I did it, years earlier, because I've gone for years living like this and living with like awful symptoms and awful gut problems. And I was like, well, that's just my normal. That's just how my life is. And I just ignored them because that's how my normal was.
Mm,
Now that I've gone through all the protocols and stuff, and like the protocols were hard and it took a
mm.
lot of effort, and like even changing just your lifestyle and like trying to make better decisions for yourself and choosing, having steak instead of KFC. Like it's just been so life changing. It's been worth it. Like every sort of unpleasant moment of the protocol is like so much. It just makes it worth it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's such a perspective. And I can even tell in your demeanor, like you just seem lighter.
Yeah,
Like you seem lighter. It's like, because when you're going through that stuff, you're carrying it. I think that's what people a lot of the time don't realize. And I think, it becomes your normal, right? But you're carrying this thing around. And I don't know, you just seem so much lighter than the first time we spoke, you
yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, it gives you a lot of anxiety, especially when you get like when you've got bad IBS and you like never know when you're going to shit your pants, and then you have to sort of
Yeah,
work your life out around that.
yeah,
Like, even like going to the movies, like I'd want to make sure that I'm sitting like close to the aisle if in case I have to get up and go to the bathroom or things like that. And like I don't really have to think about that anymore.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. And I know exactly how that feels too. And it really does get in the way of your life. Like you say, it's always in the back of your mind. So those things are just huge, huge. Tell me more about the tension headaches that you were getting and how they've improved.
so I fell off my horse when I was probably, I don't know, 13 or something. And I got a bad whiplash injury.
Hmm.
And so I started getting headaches after that. And I used to get really bad headaches. And I'd see an osteo for it. And she made it feel significantly better. But I couldn't go more than maybe 4 to 6 weeks without
Mm,
having to go back to get a treatment. Um, so I was getting really bad headaches, especially when I was at school. Um, School, I'd get like really, really bad headaches where I'd have to take days off school and things like that. And for like years and years and years, like I just lived with really bad neck pain. And then I fell off a horse again, and then I found out that I broke my spine only years later. I'm fine, I can walk and things like that.
mm,
But like where the break is, like it's one of the vertebrae slipped forward a little bit, so it puts pressure on my nerves and things like that. So I can get really bad back pain and nerve pain and stuff. So I just kind of lived being feeling like a cripple, being like, oh well, I've got these injuries which are causing this pain. And I just sort of dealt with it. I'm just like, oh well, I'm just gonna have to see the osteo, you know, every few weeks, and that's just life.
mm,
And then I found probably about midway through the protocol, obviously as my inflammation levels were sort of starting to go down, my headaches started disappearing. And I was like,
mm,
oh, this is nice, because I was getting headaches at least sort of once a week, once a fortnight, and they're really intense. And I had, um, painkillers that were prescribed to me that had like lots of codeine and other sort of relaxants in them as well to try and get on top of them. And I haven't had to take those in like a good year. Like
Mm.
all the headaches have disappeared. My lower back pain has disappeared. And like that's like a permanent injury that I have. Like that break's never going to heal. And like it's all just gone away. And like occasionally I might get one, but usually that's when I'm like getting sick or something, when obviously those inflammation levels sort of go up again.
Mm.
But yeah, like it's saving me a lot of money actually, because I was going to the osteo like every once a month. It's like
Yeah.
$100. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Osteos are great, right? Like I've seen osteos before and they do an amazing job. But yeah, when you go in regularly, like it starts to add up for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so nice to be able to live pain free. Because I mean, I always either had headaches or like period pain or just like regular just aches and pains, and I just don't feel like that anymore. Like it's all
Mm.
gone. It's
Mm.
so nice. I can just get on with my life and enjoy it instead of sitting there being like, oh, I'm sore and I'm grumpy. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And you know, and this is what I explain to people, and this is what I have to explain to myself as well, is that, you know, even when we're all, and this is why I called it the human optimization project, right? It's because we're always a project, we're always going to be working. It doesn't mean we're not going to get sick ever. We're
No.
still going to get sick, you know. But like you were saying before, you know, you get sick a lot less now than what you used to,
Yeah,
and
I
good.
rarely, I've been sick maybe like twice in the last sort of 18 months. And like
Yeah,
that's been like cold, like never lasted maybe like 3 days and then I'm fine again.
yeah, yeah. So you
Like,
bounce back a lot quicker.
yeah, where like I used to be really unwell. Like I had really bad tonsillitis where doctors used to take photos of my tonsils because they looked so like they'd never seen tonsils look like that before. Like they used to turn into these huge like blood blisters. It was disgusting. And
Mm.
I actually had them removed, but I was on antibiotics like at least once a month for like a good like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I used to get sick all the time, and it was like I don't think I was ever like 100% well. Like I think I was always just chronically sick with
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And yeah, now I feel really healthy. I don't feel sick. And even like now, like I often will start to feel like I get sick. Like I'll get like a little bit of a sore throat and it lasts like a day and then it disappears. Like I never get like fully sick anymore,
Mm,
which is
mm,
a really nice change after being like chronically unwell for so long.
mm. It's huge, huge. And when it comes to your endo, you know, prior to doing the protocol, you know, how would you compare, you know, the endo pain to what you had before to how it is now, you know, just in general?
The endo pain, so without the periods and just like day to day, I'd at least get like similar to period cramps just all the time.
Mm,
Like I'd just be like minding my own business, like I'd be at the shops and then I'd get like a really like strong cramp. I was like, oof, that really hurt. And
mm,
like I don't have a period or anything, they were just day to day cramps. And then when I did get my periods, they were excruciating. Like it was like someone was scraping out my insides.
mm,
And like it was really hard to function. Like I couldn't, most of the time I'd have to take time off work or time from away from uni. And I just have to sit in bed with like heat packs and taking a lot of pain meds, trying to get on top of it. And even then that wouldn't really do anything. I
mm,
just have to wait it out. And it was like really excruciating.
mm,
Whereas now I don't have any daily pain. Um, and like I get like some really light cramps, maybe on like the first day of my period, but
mm,
I don't need any painkillers. I don't need Panadol. I don't need to use any heating pads. I'm just like, ah, oh, got my period. This sucks. Okay, whatever, and keep going on with my day. Like it doesn't disturb me whatsoever.
mm.
That's so nice because like having to take time off work and things like that's
Yeah.
frustrating, and then you lose money, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, and you know, and to put that together as well, because obviously with the thing that people don't realize, particularly in the conventional health circle, is massive link between bacterial overgrowth. And that's one of the things that obviously we identified in your bloods as well, that came through pretty strongly, was that, you know, we were dealing with bacterial issues, quite possibly SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. you know, that bacterial hypothesis is really, really strong link with it. And it's just, I mean, did your gyno ever talk to you about that? You know,
No,
no.
no. Like the best he had for me was, well, you're on the pill, so that's probably the best thing. He's like, I can suggest an IUD, but that's, it's not really that much different from the pill. He's like, we could try a different brand of pill and see if that helps. But he's like, I don't think that really help. His best solution was like, well, we'll just probably have to do yearly surgeries. I think he did mention diet at one point and trying to, reduce sugars and junk food intake and things like that.
That's
But
good.
so like he obviously has some insight that like it's an inflammatory condition.
Yeah.
Obviously by increasing that, like eating shit food and things like that, that's going to make that worse. But yeah, he never mentioned SIBO or, you know, having an overgrowth of bacteria or anything that's linked to it. But it's so clear that that's a massive link, because now all my gut issues have sort of cleared up, all my endo's cleared up. And I've seen a lot of research about people saying the same thing, where they had awful gut issues in endo and then that's all cleared up for
Mm,
them after doing similar things. So
mm. And it's mad, right, that someone who specializes in that, you know, someone who is specializing in gynecology doesn't know about that link, right? And that's not because he's bad at what he does. It's just he hasn't been taught, and we don't know what we don't know, right? So
yeah,
it's good that he's pieced together that yes, diet can make a difference, because you know some doctors say that, and you know, in convention, a lot of conventional circles will say like IBD has nothing to do with diet, you know,
yeah,
which is insane. Like logically, it's insane to say that, you know,
exactly.
but because they're not taught it, you know, they don't think about it. But yeah, and massive as well. I love that you've been able to come off the pill, and you know, because it probably was helping you out for a while, right?
Yeah.
Be able to come
Yeah, when
off.
I first went on it, like it made my periods really manageable because
Yeah,
I mean they're technically not a period anyway, they're just like these withdrawal bleeds, so they're not proper ones.
yeah.
So that, they're fine to begin with, but as the years went on, they progressively got quite bad.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
like
And then obviously we know there's connotations with that, with, you know, B vitamins, you know, vitamin B12 is a massive one when we're taking the pill, and nutrient absorption and things like that. So that's probably contributed now to why you're feeling much better, right? It's because we've got, you know, a better nutrient profile than what we had before. And obviously SIBO, bacterial overgrowth, prevents us from absorbing nutrients. So you had that plus the pill, you know, and now we've eliminated the pill, you know, we've worked on the bacterial overgrowth, so you're absorbing more nutrients. So that's why you're feeling better. Did you have any changes with like mental acuity, like brain fog and things like that?
yeah, I used to have really bad brain fog. Now it's a lot better. Like I'm seeing now, I remember things. Like I used to constantly, I'd walk into like the kitchen or something to go and get something. I'd get to the kitchen. I was like, what am I here for? Like that would
Yeah,
happen like 20 times a day.
yeah.
Now it's a lot clearer. I'm a lot less tired.
Yeah, yes, fatigue.
Really
They were the
nice.
big
Because
ones for me, neurological.
I actually feel a lot less anxious than I used to as well.
Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
feel like I used to have quite bad anxiety, and I was on antidepressants for it at one point. And yeah, like I don't feel that way. Occasionally I might get it, but yeah, definitely not as bad as what it was.
Hmm.
Like I used to have really awful panic attacks and stuff sometimes, and I don't get them anymore, which is really, really nice. Like
Yeah.
it, like I get normal stress, like when something's going on, which is like the normal amount, which I mean you can't expect to eliminate stress altogether, but like it doesn't overwhelm me and it doesn't sort of make me shut down, not be able to function normally, which is nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell people. That's exactly what I tell people is, you know, stress is can be a good thing. We get the hormetic effect from stress, right? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and you know that in turn builds these adaptations and resilience within us. But it's when that stress starts to take over, that's when it becomes an issue. But to completely eliminate stress just, isn't something that we should be aiming for. And actually that will probably cause us more stress, because we're still going to get stressed, and then in our head we're like, I should never get stressed, and then we get stressed with being stressed, right? So it's this like, is this whole chain of events. So that's such a fantastic way to look at it, for sure. And that's one thing I always try and portray to people is, you know stress is always going to be there. What we need to change is how we think about it, you know
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah. So was there any other big changes that you can pinpoint? I mean, the one great thing is that you haven't had to have those surgeries, um so that's massive. Have you seen your gyno since?
No, but I really want to, because I want to really explain what I've done and how it's just been life changing. I'm really excited to actually go back to him and discuss it with him, because he's a very open minded doctor as well. Like, you get some that are very closed minded, but he's very open minded. So I think he'll find it really interesting to hear how I've gone and how I've sort of fixed myself.
Yeah, there's definitely good doctors out there for sure. I know I probably sometimes, seem like I'm, all against conventional doctors and GPs and stuff, but it's education,
Yeah,
because I believe that they have the right attitude, they want to do the right things. It's just they're not exposed to this kind of,
yeah.
like,
What's like in med school, they don't really learn about diet really or anything like that. They do like a really like small like subject on it, and that's it. Where like it's pretty obvious that diet and the gut sort of controls everything. It seems like everything kind of starts in the gut in one form or another.
yeah,
And like knowing that now, like I'm trying to do everything I can to just sort of live a healthier life. Like, I still fall off the bandwagon sometimes, but sometimes you just gotta, see that you've fallen off and pick yourself back up and try and keep going. But
yeah,
yeah, like I've made some huge changes in like diet, and even a lot of my like skincare products and shampoos. Like, I've realized a lot of them have toxins and stuff which disrupt your hormones and things like that. I'm trying to, slowly phase them out. Like, when I first found out, I felt really overwhelmed, being like, oh no, every product I use is just trying to kill me, kind of thing. But I'm slowly like phasing them out. And yeah, the natural products are just so much nicer to use, I found as well.
and we're always going to have exposure to toxins, right? Like, even if you got rid of all that stuff, the moment you step outside, you're going
Yeah.
to be exposed to some kind of toxin. So we're never going to completely eliminate them. But again, it's the same thing as stress. We just have to set ourselves up better to be able to be more resilient to them, and minimal, let that minimal amount come in, right? So that's all we can do, is control what we can control, because there's so much that we can't.
Yeah.
So if we control what we're putting into our body ourselves, like purposely putting into our body, and how we move our body, and then further to that, the people that we surround ourselves with, then it's that's all we can do. And as long as we're doing those things, those foundational things, we're putting the best foot forward, and we're going to reap the benefits for that. So yeah, I'm incredibly blown away by your commitment to it, and you should be incredibly proud of yourself, because like I say, people you can give people the information, but they're not going to do it. They can be going through chronic pain, but so many times they can't do it. It's just not their time. It's not right for
Yeah.
them to do it.
I've told so many people about you, and like I've seen like a fair few people. Like, my mum's actually looking at working with you at some point.
Yeah, no, yeah.
She's got a lot on her plate at the moment, but she's like, oh, maybe I should do that, because I mean, she's seen when I first started, she was so skeptical, and she's like, what crap are you doing? She's like, this is just a scam. It's like, it's not a scam. And then as she saw the whole protocol, and then she was a bit concerned when I was going through the die off, and I was pretty unwell with die off. And she's like, what are you doing, Emily? You're making yourself sick for no reason. And then I started getting better, and then all these things, disappeared. Like, my headaches disappeared, my endo pain disappeared. A lot of my allergies disappeared as well. Like I don't get hay fever anymore. Like I was allergic to my cats and my horses. Um, I can eat dairy again.
Yeah.
Like there's
Oh, wow.
a huge list of things that's
So,
been
so you don't have any issues with dairy now?
no, like there's for a while there where I was like, oh no, I've become lactose intolerant. This is really depressing because I like milk. And
Yeah.
yeah, now I drink milk all the time. But I couldn't have milk in my coffee. It'd give me really bad like stomach cramps and diarrhea and things like that. I was like, oh, this sucks. And yeah, now I can have milk in my coffee and I'm fine. Can drink milk straight and I'm fine. Like it's so nice.
That's awesome.
Even fruits like I used to like eat a mango and stuff, and I'd get like hives on my lips and things like that. Bananas would give me extreme stomach cramps, but I can eat it all now and now I'm fine, which is really, really nice.
Mm, that's huge. Yeah, it's huge, especially, dairy, because we all love a bit of dairy. And it means, when you do want to indulge, when we do have ice cream, we do have a bit of sugar here, here and there. It's not gonna, and I never advocate for doing it regularly every day, but on special occasions and, here and there when we want to enjoy ourselves, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah,
and it means our body is more set up to be able to deal with that, right? you
yeah,
know because have you noticed a change in that when you do kind of fall off the wagon a little bit? You might still not
yeah.
feel great, but better than what you would have done previously,
Yeah, well,
right?
what's interesting is I went to my work Christmas party and I think I was maybe 2 months after my first protocol.
Mm,
And I was like, oh, I have a couple of drinks. And then I ended up drinking far too much. And I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, what have I done? I was like, I'm going to be really hungover the next day. I actually woke up the next day and I felt fine. And I was like, normally especially because I hadn't been drinking for 6 months, like I was a bit of a lightweight.
mm.
And yeah, like, I mean, not that you want to do protocols just so you can not be hungover, but yeah, like I got over it a lot quicker where normally I'd feel really unwell and then I'd want to sit there and eat KFC or something to make me feel better. But I didn't even feel sick in the slightest. Like I didn't have a headache. I felt a little bit dehydrated, but that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Like
awesome.
normally I would have been like really hungover and really
Yeah,
tired and grumpy for the rest of the day, but I felt fine. Like I
yeah.
think I went for a run later in the afternoon.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? When we first caught up with each other, like one of the things that was really frustrating for you is that you were an active person, and then that, what you were going through really got in the way of that.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that's something that's been able to turn around now? Like you've been able to be more active and, more in line with how you want to be?
Yeah, definitely. Like now I find I recover a lot quicker. Like I used to get really bad DOMS, like just it was painful for like I wouldn't work out that hard, but like sometimes I'd have DOMS for like 5 days. Like it was extremely painful. I was like, why am I so slow to recover? And now like I get it for maybe a day if I've done something like a really hard workout, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
and I spoke about that on my Instagram, and you've probably seen it as well. And that is very much correlated to bacterial overgrowth. Is that abnormal length and pain associated with delayed onset muscle soreness. So after we work out, it's because we're not very good at clearing the lactic acid when we have bacterial overgrowth. So that's exactly why that was. So that's another great clue that we've done really well. We've done.
yeah, yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like I've got so much more energy now. And the only time I really notice a dip in my energy is like maybe a couple of days before I get my period because I track on my cycle and things like that now.
Mm,
And it's just like maybe a couple of days where normally like I've gotten into my running and I've been doing a few fun runs and things like that. And
mm,
training, like I'd normally be able to run like a certain distance and then maybe like a day or two before my period, I'm just like, I really struggle and I get really tired and I have to take more breaks. I'm just like, oh, why am I so slow today? Why am I so tired? And then I get my period. I'm just like, that's why. And then
yeah,
I feel
I know
like,
exactly right. And because obviously, 90% of my clients are female, and we go through the exact same thing every month. And particularly because we're weighing ourselves and things like that, like their weight will stagnate. And every time it's because they're coming on their period, and You know, they might be bloat because even people without severe gut issues will still bloat during their period. So
Yeah.
we just have to remember that. But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate this. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Anything else that comes to mind or anything?
No, I don't think so. Nothing that I want recorded anyway.
What's that?
Nothing that I want recorded anyway.
Fair enough. We'll yeah, we'll have a chat anyway now about what to do next. So I'll stop the recording. But yeah, you know, thank you. You're awesome. And it's I really wanted to share your story because it's so powerful, because people just think that they have to deal with endo for the rest of their life. You know,
Yeah.
it's just something that they
Well,
have to
that's basically
deal
what I
with.
got told. Like, it was just like, oh, this is something you're gonna have to live with. They're like, oh yeah, it'll probably be better, once you hit menopause. I was like, that's great. That's like
Thanks.
25 years away more. I was like,
Yeah.
can't
But it's
wait.
good, you know, that's it. And so that's why it's such a powerful message. And that's why I really wanted you to share your story from from your perspective.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I'm actually really glad that I've done this now. Not that I'm ready to have kids just yet, but like I had a lot of people, like anytime you told someone that you had endo, half the time their response would be like, oh, you probably won't be have kids now. I was like, that's a terrible thing to say to someone. I was like that's already in the back of my mind, but I don't need someone pointing it out.
mm,
Whereas now, like, I feel like if I wanted to have kids, I feel like it should be, fingers crossed, fairly easily to be able to conceive and have like a healthy pregnancy and stuff. So that's nice. So like when I'm ready in that stage of my life, I feel like, I'll be ready to do it, because I know quite a few people don't really address their endo issues until they're trying to have kids and obviously can't conceive and things like that.
mm,
And then obviously it takes a while to sort of get on top of it
mm.
completely. So I'm kind of glad that I'm on track for that, which will be
Yeah,
nice.
for sure. For sure. And it's oftentimes I've thought about I haven't got kids and but when we think about purpose, is there anything more that we're here for? You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
really, if you want to talk about purpose, and what's ingrained into it as human beings, it's to keep the species alive, right? And how do we do
Yeah.
that? We procreate. So it's a powerful thing, and to have that taken away from you, with something like endo, is can be devastating for some people. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, when I went back to my gyno at the 6 month mark, after I had my surgery, he's like, "Oh, well, this will be life." And even he says, he's like, "I'm concerned that you've already got symptoms again this early on." He's like, "That makes me nervous for your future fertility and stuff like that." And I was really upset because, like, at this stage, like, I don't want kids right now. I don't feel ready, but I want them at some point. And
Mm,
then to be told that you can't do like pretty much like your sole purpose for why you're like kind of here.
mm,
That's the basic thing that a human could do is procreate, and then to be
mm,
told that you probably won't be able to do it is really upsetting. I was like, well, what's the point of me even being here then
yeah.
if I can't do something that's that basic? But I'm feeling a
Yeah.
bit more confident about that will happen for me now. So
Oh, 100%. I'm very, very confident that won't be an issue for you at all, if that's what you choose to do. So it's, yeah, like I say, it's immensely powerful. Your story is immensely powerful, and it is, it's inspiring to me. And because sometimes, this job is hard. Like it's hard to do, and because not everybody listens like you do. And I see people fall off the wagon, like, and give up. Um, and so to hear your story and to see you keep going and persevere through it is a powerful message to me. So I really appreciate you.
yeah, that's all right. Well, it's been so life changing. Like, I mean, I'm not perfect. I mean, I've fallen off plenty of times. I mean, I'm not doing great at the moment. I've had some personal things come up. And then, like, obviously, when you're not doing as well, like, you get some of your symptoms pop up again. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks. But you know how easy it is to sort of go back to where you were. You just need to put a little bit more effort in.
Creating that baseline, that's something that I'm big on for people, is creating that baseline that they can always come back to. when we know we're going a little bit askew, because we might always be sensitive to those things. Like I know I am, like I had an autoimmune condition, and occasionally if I'm not doing the right things or I'm overly stressed and stuff like that, that'll start to flare up for me. So that's a good sign that I need to go back to basics,
Yeah.
control my stress and things like that. Maybe just take things easier. Um, so yeah, how, like I said, it's just powerful. You're amazing. You did an amazing job, and you should be so proud of yourself. So proud of yourself.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot better now chatting to you than I did like before we started chatting, because I was sitting here there this morning being like, oh, I fucked up and I feel like shit at the moment and I've ruined everything and I felt a bit crap. And now looking back, I was like, actually looking back from where I started, like I've come such a long way.
Yeah,
And
we have to stop being so hard on ourselves.
I need to stop being so hard on myself. It's a terrible habit.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I do too. So it's good to remind ourselves of that. So, I think it's good when we can look back on our journeys and, see how far we come. And because I've just come back from the retreat that I was running, I had to reflect on my journey of how I got here. Because if you told me 10 years ago, I would be, running a health retreat and I'd be doing what I'm doing now, like I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
No chance, like no chance, so we need to remind ourselves, just because I do a timeline for my business and stuff of where I came from. And I think that's important for everyone to do, is to mark down those timelines, diarize it, make a record of it. And hopefully this conversation will be a good serve.
Yeah.
So
Well, I still have my testimonial that I wrote for you after the first one, and I've got like it was a bit long, but like I've got it all written down of like all the problems I had. And I remember showing it to Jack. He's like, "What are you writing?" I was like, "I'm writing the testimony for Chris." He's like, "You can't send that. That's too long." I was like, "But that's everything that I've had that's been changed for me. Like it's been life changing. Like so much stuff is like different. So you got to tell people. I mean, you could always crop it down if you needed to, but
you do, and sometimes it's not an easy thing to share, right? But it's important to. It's important. It's powerful because me just saying things is different. You saying it is way more powerful than me saying it, right? It's way more powerful.
yeah,
It's not in my nature to do it that way anyway. But I much prefer to hear it from my client. So, because we weren't even I wasn't even thinking about doing this today, but
yeah.
you were talking so well about it, and I thought it was just a good opportunity to do
Yeah,
it.
well, I'm more than happy to help. Like at least once a week, like I'm telling someone about my protocols and stuff, and people think I'm a bit crazy for doing it. I was like, but it's been so life changing. Like I've been telling mum to do it because mum's got some of her own problems. I keep telling my brother to do it because I think he's probably worse off than I was, to be honest. I keep telling him, I was like, Tom, I was like, just do it. He's like, yeah,
Mm.
but you felt like shit for months. I was like, yeah, but I feel fantastic now, and it's been life changing. Like, just do it.
Yeah,
And I find it really frustrating because I see so many people. I've got friends that have really bad gut issues and just obvious problems. I'm just like, you can fix this, And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to take some collagen. I was like, collagen's fine, but that's not going to fix the underlying cause. Like, just fix the underlying cause. And I end up getting really irritated because I'm like, people don't listen to me.
yeah. Well,
You could
people
feel
don't listen
amazing
to
like
me
me.
a lot of the time. So, no, it's good when people do. One of a person that I follow, she's an amazing naturopath, or she was a naturopath in the 80s, and on a podcast she was saying I quit and I decided to write books instead because only 1 in 10 people were making long-term health changes. One
Yeah.
in 10 people, and she's amazingly smart, you know great practitioner, like wealth of knowledge, really relatable, really personable. She said it was 1 in 10 people that would make
Yeah.
that change. So she decided to write books instead because she can reach more people.
Yeah, at least when people, people that are buying books are people that are wanting answers, usually wanting to put in the effort.
Hmm.
Whereas like people just think, oh, I'll pay, you know, X amount of dollars and they'll just fix me. But it
Mm.
takes a lot of work. And like it's going to continue taking me a lot of work to, I've got a lot of bad habits I need to fix, and there's some other stuff that I need to sort of get to the root cause of that,
Mm.
it's going to take time and a lot of effort. And, sometimes when you stress, you go back to eating KFC because it makes you happy. But, as long as you're not doing it every day, it's, the little
That's
things,
it.
small
Small
progress.
changes. We don't expect change. We don't expect 100% change overnight. And yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, 100%, and that's the right attitude to have, and don't expect too much of yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah. Try not to.
All right, I'll stop recording and we will have a chat about what to do next.
Fabulous.